The devil's in the detail here. The use of light to transmit data instead of electrons. And again, I'm not an engineer, but what is this OPU design that you're developing?
It's essentially designed to be a drop-in replacement for a GPU, but actually runs 50 to 100 times both faster and with 50 to 100 times higher raw energy efficiency in the inference use case, not for training. That's right.
You're an engineer by trade, by background, but then you go to the dark side of venture capital. Why back this project? You know, you're going to tell me that there's a gap, there's a problem being solved for here. There are lots of inference solutions out there, different technological underpinning, but why this one?
Yeah, certainly. You know, our investment focus is on the data center of the future, and by and large, the industry has committed massive amounts of capital to scaling the technology that we know and understand. And from our investment thesis, our investment aims, we're really looking for what is far beyond the state of the art to disrupt that, particularly toward the end of the decade. And what Patrick and his team have developed is really, it's not just a new technique that's cool because it uses light, but it really delivers demonstrable benefits to the energy needed for the compute, and in a way that we think could change the game. So that's something we can underwrite as the fund, and we think it could impact Microsoft, but also the industry at large.
Okay, I'm interested, Patrick, on the next set of data centers are meant to be being built in space. If you're listening to Elon Musk over at Davos today, I'm interested as to whether that is something that you think is applicable to your technology, and how you think you're going to be beating what are quite a lot of competitors out there. There's Light Matter, IR Labs, Neurophos, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing is, wherever you go, whether it's in space or it's on Earth, AI is fundamentally hardware limited, and the hardware is fundamentally power limited, right? And the move to space is an attempt to try to solve the power consumption part of the problem. But wherever you go, even in space, power is still going to be limited, and we're solving that problem at the fundamental physics level.
Are you, Michael, seeing the adoption by those out there at the moment building the data centers for such new, interesting technology? Because as you say, this could just be replacing, dropped in instead of a GPU. How are you seeing that revenue process as you back it with this sort of Series A funding?
Well, in the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months, actually, we've seen a complete and total breakthrough in the acceptance by the leaders in the industry, the chip industry, to use new hardware to address different parts of the inference workload. And that's the last couple of large licensing and hiring deals that we've seen. And I believe that's the beginning. That's kind of like, it's like breaking the sound barrier. You need those steps to happen on the part of, obviously, the leaders to pave the way for even more disruptive technology like what Neurophos is developing. You know,
this is an industry that is still dominated by the GPU, NVIDIA, right? But with the specialist inference platforms, the argument that NVIDIA makes is that we give 5-year visibility on our product roadmap, and that's why each generation of silicon that comes out, you just drop it in. How is this more than a lab experiment right now with Neurophos, and you can convince that data center that's not yet planned for, let alone built, that's the best viable option?
Right. The key is that right now we already have silicon. We have verified silicon.
It is real?
It is real. We have taped out these chips. We've de-risked the fundamental physics. So from here, unlike quantum computing, where you still need some more physics miracles to make it happen, there are no more physics miracles in our roadmap. From here, it is hard engineering, but it is just engineering to get to market, and so we can build a timeline and an engineering schedule that is tractable and actually can deliver on time.
I'm just trying to understand how difficult this is going to be, Michael. Cerebras is doing interesting things, different technology.
Sure.
Grok, when NVIDIA took Grok, they were like, well, they didn't have a place in the world. You seem to think that actually the underlying technology, OPU, does have a place in the world. What evidence would you provide for that?
My background is from the semiconductor industry. I got to say, I wasn't sold until I visited the lab, and Patrick and their team opened kimono, showed me the oscilloscopes, showed me the test beds. This is something that can not only work on its own, but it can be integrated with other conventional products that are in the server bill of materials. And again, that's the piece I can underwrite. We're not really here in this case to look to invest in science, although I am a scientist. I at least think we should stand behind the technologies that could change the game for the energy needed for inference compute.
Why underwrite Neurophos versus, as I said, Light Matter, IR Labs?
I don't want to comment on the other companies other than I've known them, and I looked at this. I looked at optical compute very seriously 5 years ago or so for my prior fund. In fact, I met Patrick at that time, and the concept for Neurophos was a little bit early. But I think the market conditions, the demand, the need for new approaches, combined with, like I said, the signals of leaders to be willing to integrate and use this technology in their platforms that are already commercially successful. This is a moving train toward heterogeneous compute and true disruptive technologies making it to market. What Neurophos has that, again, helped us move forward is something I could see with my eyes that shows it could work. Now, I'm going to still put the pressure on Patrick to deliver the product on time, which is definitely the job of an entrepreneur. But to his point, it's not a science risk question as much anymore as engineering and capital. So once again, that's where we can bring our fund in.